My next guest is none other than Laine Craft. Welcome to the Legacy Building Summit, Laine.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, so grateful to have you. I would love to just start by having you kind of let folks know what you're working on right now.
Well, I have a wonderful new book that will be released March 7th, 2023. It's called The Parent's Battle Plan: Warfare Strategies to Win Back Your Prodigal. It's a little bit of a personal memoir, but it also gives you exact prescriptive steps on how you can win your prodigal back also.
That is so powerful. What is it that led you to write this book, Laine?
My own experience. My three children, all at one time as teen and young adults, were self-destructive or in bad places. The dark world had sucked my children up, like many today. I don't know if you've been looking at the latest stats. Suicide among teen and young adults is up 25%. Fentanyl, accidental overdoses are more than the entire Vietnam War of 17 years in the last 2 years. Our children are dying.
Yes.
They're dying.
Wow. That hits home because I'm at my sister's house today, and she got a message when I arrived this morning that one of my niece and nephew's peers from their high school committed suicide last night. And it's one life is too many. One is too many. And especially after all we've been through the last couple of years, depression rates are sky high. And so I want to just take some time today, knowing what your heart is around mentoring young people and helping parents really walk through these tough years of teen and early adulthood specifically. Because we're talking this week about legacy, and legacy is not just about what we leave in the physical as far as successful businesses and progeny and all of that. It's really about the why behind we build our businesses. It's about who we are as we raise our kids and how we pour into our children in a way that fosters their faith and their independence and all of that. And so I would love to just have you share with our audience what is important to you about legacy, and how does that tie into what you're doing with parents around.
Well, both Steve and I, my husband and I, have been entrepreneurs since graduation of college. So you're looking at two people that have worked all of their lives without any 401k. No one's writing our checks. We love to say that God wrote our checks. I want to say that because I think legacy in one season is not quite as important as it is in another. And so what I'm saying is, too bad youth is wasted on the young, because what I'm saying, when you're younger, you're building companies, you're building empires, you're building your business so that you can pay the bills and get your kids into good schools and that thing. But as you get to the other side, which we are, we also, if someone said today, what is your greatest legacy? It would be that all three of our children walk in the truth and know the Lord.
Yes.
But again, that's wisdom you only get as you get older. We've had everything, as you know. We were very successful, both of us. We've had a lot, we've had a little, and right now we are at a place that we truly are. We're blessed, but we are guarding things because we are in an industry that has been completely turned upside down the last few years. So all of that to say, we're talking about legacy. So today I would ask anyone listening, what is it that you want to leave as an imprint, not only for your children, but for your own, when people see you in that casket? What do you want them to say? What were your values? How did you treat others? What kind of parent were you? These are very important questions to ask.
Yes, absolutely. That idea of, what do you want people to say about us when we're gone, really goes back to the why, because no one's going to be really talking about the number of dollars in our bank account, or, but if they can see that, yes, we built a successful business and we used that business to bless other people. If we were just, abundantly generous, and people were speaking of our generosity to our community and to the world and to causes that were close to our hearts, then that is legacy more than
Right.
the bottom
And
line.
we like to say too, Joanna, that someone's got to make income. Someone's got to support the church. Someone's got to support
Right.
your community charities and your nonprofits. I believe very hard-heartedly that we are to prosper. But what I do know is we can sometimes sacrifice our own family and sacrifice our own health for the
Yes.
sake of that dollar amount.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I see that happen all the time, unfortunately. And it's an easy trap to fall into for those of us who are entrepreneurs, because especially in the early years, we're really grinding it out sometimes until we start to see, we get out of the red and into the black, so to speak. And so it can be tempting to put all our focus on business and to forget to pour into our families. So especially for those who are watching who are still in the process of raising their families while building their businesses, what are some things that they could do to make sure that they're keeping that in balance?
Well, I think just the key to life, I think for a wonderful, happy, living, lively life is managing our emotions, managing our time, managing our health. So with that, how do we engage with our children? How do we make things matter so that we do leave seeds of legacy? And I simply would say time, just intentional time, make a date with your kids if you have to, singularly or all together. Pour into them in their interest. If they want to play PlayStation, I know you may not want to, but come alongside them, because I tell you, the world is different, Joanna. If we're not speaking into our children's lives and we're not spending time with them, I can certainly tell you a lot of evil and darkness is just a click away for them.
That's right. I actually had to apologize. I got the opportunity to humble myself to one of my daughters recently. My daughter, who's 19, she's our younger daughter. And I called her and I said, Brooke, I'm so sorry. I just want to apologize for all the times you asked me to play Barbies and I said no, because I didn't feel like it. Because this girl wanted to play Barbies from sun up to sundown. And sometimes I had just had enough. And it's not that I had something else that I wanted to do. I just chose not to get down and invest in what was important to her. And that was so eye-opening to me to go back and realize I carried guilt. She had long forgotten about it, but I was still carrying mom guilt, all these years later, almost 20 years later. And so when we think about that in terms of you and your husband are both entrepreneurs, so you've always been entrepreneurs, raised your kids in that. How did you relate that? How did you bring your kids kind of into the entrepreneurial mindset, or have they become entrepreneurs themselves?
Absolutely.
Or did they go?
So they are. So one of my sons is a real estate agent. Actually, just got an award from Caldwell Banker for his achievements at 28 years old. My 31-year-old son is his own licensed broker for insurance. And then my daughter does do marketing for a company, but she is a charcuterie board artist. She makes those and sells them. They're luxury charcuterie boards. So they absolutely got the entrepreneur bug and love it and are self-motivated. But you said something key, Joanna. I want to go back to, you going to your daughter and just saying, hey, I'm sorry. I say to anyone listening today, one of the greatest legacies you can leave, whether as a parent, a business person, a neighbor, is to say, I'm sorry. Yeah. Two powerful words, because guess what? It disengages everything and it allows you to start over. So if someone today is listening and saying, oh, well, maybe I haven't spent enough time with my kids, or maybe I've made some wrong choices. The great thing about being parents and business people, we can start over any day we choose because we're in control of that.
Yes. That's such a good point. Thank you for highlighting that. Humility is everything. And I know for myself, I can be kind of a boisterous. I don't know if that's the right word, but I can take up a lot of space sometimes. And I don't want that to be necessarily what I want people to remember my joy, but I also want them to remember me as being humble. And that comes with practice. And, because there's false humility. We can all apologize all day long and not really mean it. But to come and really exercise godly humility and be willing to admit when we're wrong. I think that's such an important thing to model for our kids, because we want to raise children who are also humble and willing to admit when they're wrong.
And nobody's perfect. I mean,
No.
that's the good news today. I mean, we're all a mess and we're all failures and we're all, sinners in need of a great savior. So,
yes.
Take some slack off, give yourself some grace.
Yes.
Because, none of us are perfect.
No, we're not. I recently heard someone say, she was saying that she had gotten in the habit of saying that she was a hot mess. And somebody pointed out, that's not a great thing to repeat about yourself. And so she said, okay, well, how could I rephrase? I'm a spicy disarray.
Love it. Love it.
That made it better. I'm not sure I'm convinced, but we all, like you said, none of us have it all together. None of us have it all figured out. We can only do the best we can with what we know in the moment. And then if we need to go back and adjust, then we get to do that. And so I would love to know, Laine, what would you like your legacy to be? What is the why behind, like, what's driving you? You're a passionate person. You're a passionate entrepreneur. You're a passionate author. You have an amazing podcast. What is that drives you to create all these amazing resources for the world?
Well, truly, just to make this world a better place, first and foremost, and to bring people hope that God is real and alive.
Amen.
I've taken personal experiences in my business and in my marriage and raising kids now, and exposed where I failed, exposed where things didn't work out, but then I present solutions very similar to what you're doing today. What you hope to do is bring people some nuggets that can help them build better legacies, longer legacies. And so make sure your passion is really to just be a vessel of generosity and bring fruit to the world, bring kindness, bring the things that people really need today more than ever, Joanna.
Yes, yes. And for those who are watching who are men and women of faith, what would you say about sort of the core? Because all of that, everything that we do as entrepreneurs, as parents, if it's not centered on the right thing, then it will not prosper, at least not in the way that we know it could under God's favor. So what can you speak to around that?
Well, he's your anchor. I mean, he's got to be the center of it all. He's got to be your guide and your comforter and the wisdom. If we don't emulate the most generous person, and that is our God, our creator, he loved us so much. He was so generous. He gave his only son. If you just take that one characteristic of God and be generous and make him the center and be intentional about spending time with him, Joanna, we do get caught up. We get caught up in business meetings. We get caught up in carpool. We get caught up with the Joneses. It's just a natural tendency. So I would say to someone today that 5 minutes, I'm not in this religious spirit where you have to spend hours or have these long prayers. Listen, if you just, for me personally, I wake up every morning, my eyes open and I go, I'm here for a reason. Because if I wasn't supposed to be here, I'd be dead in a casket. What can I do today that will, at the end of the day, say, I did all I could to make someone's life better, many people's lives better. What can I do?
I love that. I love that, because you're right. Every day is a gift. If we woke up this morning, for all of you who are watching, if you're here watching, then you have reason to be grateful today. No matter how hard life looks right now, no matter how it feels in this moment, God allowed you to have breath today, and that is reason for Thanksgiving. You mentioned a few minutes ago when we were talking about our children that it's a different world today, and they are facing different pressures than we ever did. We're in the digital age, which is amazing because it allows you and I to connect like this, but it's also a pitfall for our young people. And I have just this burden on my heart to really pour into the next generation, to really pour into them in meaningful ways, and to let them know that they are valued and valuable, that their voices matter, that we want to hear from them. And so what are some ways that you have adult children? What are some ways that as they were growing up and you were building your businesses, that maybe you sort of brought them into your entrepreneurial world in a way that kind of showed them what you were up to? Or did you ever bring them in and bounce ideas
Not
off?
too close, because we also wanted them to be children. But I will say
Yeah.
about today's kids, I mean, today's kids are one click away from anything that's not good for them. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they can watch things, they can meet people, they can do. So that's what sets this particular generation apart from 10 years ago, but pre-iPhone, because these kids today are one click away. So, and again, yes, technology has brought some good things. You know, I wouldn't be spreading good news through podcasts and lives without these capabilities. But back to the children, we would bring them in. Like at one point in my entrepreneurship, I had a wholesale jewelry company and I had to recard jewelry. So many times I would solicit the children and they would help me recard the jewelry. They saw how physically intense this could be and the commitment that it took. Probably the greatest thing my kids got was the level of perseverance. Steve and I, specifically Steve, showed them that you don't quit. You keep going. You keep going. Personally, my husband went 17 years into a business before he saw a turnkey situation, and that's a long time.
That's a long time.
And work. And so the kids saw that. You know, again, my regret. I'm like you. Wish I would have stopped more and enjoyed the children, because you don't realize at that time how fast they grow. You know, those days are gone. I love this. 18 summers. Once you have a child, you have 18 summers, Joanna, with them. When you look at life like that, that's not a whole lot of time. So if you can keep that frame of mind as you're building a legacy, building your business, also remember you have 18 summer months, 18 summers to spend with your children.
And in one way, that seems like it's such a short time. And at the same time, that's 18 years of opportunity to sow into their lives. It's 18 years to model faith and dependence on God and hard work and perseverance and all those things that we've mentioned. And if you have missed a piece of that window, don't beat yourself up. Go back to that grace we were talking about. Let yourself off the hook, forgive yourself for it, and move forward. Seize the day. Today is the day. Pick up the phone and call your adult child and connect. Go into the other room and sit down and get on video games with your teenager. You know, whatever it is, don't waste another day, because we have the opportunity to either build legacy through our kids in a meaningful way that they will want to continue when they grow up and have children, or we can let the time pass us by and never make those connections. As long as we're breathing, there is time to make that connection. There is time to make it right. We serve a God of reconciliation and redemption, and it's never too late to make those connections and to begin building your legacy. You can begin building it today and have a whole new legacy by the time God calls you home.
Yes, and you can start it by simply saying, I'm sorry, son,
Yes.
I didn't go fishing with you enough, so I've planned a fishing trip. Or to your daughter, hey, I didn't play Barbies enough. And if they're still playing Barbies, sit down and play Barbies. I can promise you, everything we pour into our children will come out and multiply. There's never a wasted moment with a child.
Never, never. Oh, Laine, thank you for your wisdom and your grace today. Do you have a free offer for our audience today so they can get to know you a little better?
Well, yes, I have. I have two things. I have a 5 free warfare prayers for your
Mm,
prodigal. So if anyone listening today has a child that is not in the life that they were hoping and expecting, you can pray these prayers. And then I also have a ebook, When Life is Hurting Too Much, and it helps you kind of capture how to go from hurts to healing. So I have both of those, and if you want both, you can have them. And if you just want one, take them. That would be great.
fantastic. Thank you for providing those. Everybody go download those. The links are in the email and they're here on the Facebook post. Make sure that you take advantage of every resource being offered this week, because every one of them will enrich your life and they all are different. This is like a school. We're giving you we're giving you so many resources this week. You can completely change the direction of your legacy just based on the resources offered here. So Laine, thank you again for
Thank
your
you.
time today. It's always a pleasure talking with you, and God bless you.
Thank you.